WAOH is brought to you in part by Ohio's #1 trusted real estate team, The Young Team. Online at theyoungteam.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Good Morning Akron. And today I am here joined by a very special guest, Nathan Jarosz. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Sam.
Of course. And Nathan is running for Akron School Public Board.
Of Education, yes.
Of Education.
Akron Public School Board.
Yes.
Correct.
So tell me a little bit about what got you started and why you want to run.
Yeah, so my background is very much in youth development.
Okay.
I'm an Eagle Scout in my youth, was able to travel across the country doing national leadership programs for youth and adults.
Yeah.
Was even in China for a month working with Chinese students on leadership development.
Wow.
And from among those experiences, I started a nonprofit organization called LIGHT, Leadership Influencing Teen Empowerment, which is all about providing leadership development training, emotional intelligence training to high schoolers and middle schoolers.
Wow.
And so in 7 school years, serving over 5,000 students, most of them do come from the Akron Public Schools. And so with my background being in the classrooms with the students, with the teachers, side by side with the administrators, I see a lot of the great things being done in our schools and also some of the challenges. And so when we look at how important public education is, if we want to have a thriving community, we need to have a thriving public education system. And I look forward to bringing those servant leadership principles to our Akron Public School Board.
Yes, and speaking of Akron Public Schools, I mean, why do you think it is so important to be so involved? I've heard some things that have been going on within the district, and I would like to know.
Yeah, so when we look at having a strong community,
it
does start with the education system, because this is where we get our future entrepreneurs, our innovators, our doctors, nurses, our technicians, our trades workers. And it's so important that they're given the right fundamental skills to be successful in their personal lives and in their professional lives. And so we see public education as essential for the community to thrive.
Right.
Because if we don't have a strong education system, people may not want to move here, or they might leave to find a better school district.
Right.
And so public education is essentially the heart of a community, and we need to make sure that we're taking care of our business to make sure our students thrive, but also that our providers of these information, our teachers, our secretaries, our administrators, are also receiving the supports they need.
Of course, it's so important to start in school, where you said where the beginning really is of these future people and what they're going to be doing in their life, of course. And you mentioned briefly about how it's important to serve your community. You're local here in Akron. Why should people pick you for the board?
Absolutely, because there's several priorities that we need to focus on in this campaign and on the school board. And the 3 things are, the first is making sure that we are better managing our finances. Right now, we're spending more money than we're bringing in.
Wow.
And that's largely due to major budget cuts from the state. But just as we have those challenges, we need to make sure that we are responsible with our finances, because if we don't get our finances under control, then in about 2028, 2029, we're going to be out of our reserved funds. And if that happens, and this is why it's really important, is that then the state makes the decisions for us on how we spend our finances. And we want to make sure we keep our local control, keep our local autonomy, and make sure that the people who are elected by our community are making those decisions.
Right. And then the state making decisions for you guys, I mean, I'm sure that would have a very tough effect on the school, right?
Well, it would be, because it's not your local people who are listening to the community, who are involved in the community making those choices, but somebody else who may have a detachment and someone who may not even be friendly to some of the local decisions.
And rather than the people of Akron, it would be the people of Ohio, which is a much broader term than Akron Public Schools.
Correct.
Exactly. So
yeah, but also even looking at our stability and leadership, we've had 4 superintendents in the last 5 school years.
Wow.
And that does not lead to a sustainable plan or a long-term strategy. And we need to make sure that we are supporting our superintendents. And one thing I've been saying along the campaign trail is that I'm running for Akron Public School Board. I'm not running for superintendent.
Right.
There is that distinction between being a board member who helps with ironing out policy and procedure and governance, and then someone doing the day-to-day tasks. And it's very important that as leaders, we allow our professionals to do their job and have the autonomy to make decisions. And that's one thing that I look forward to working with our current superintendent, Mary Otley, and doing everything we can to make sure she is successful, because when our superintendent and our vision is successful, our students are successful.
Of course, and I really appreciate you looking at the relationship that you have between, obviously, you, the board, the superintendent, the students, making sure that it's all really well connected and making sure that you guys have something established so that you guys can thrive.
Exactly. And speaking on connection, the third thing is that when we have less funding from the state or less funding resources, it's very critical that we lean on community partners.
Wow.
So like my nonprofit organization and so many others. So for example, there's the Youth Success Summit, where there are so many various collaborators who provide mentoring resources, after school programs, sporting opportunities, whether additional curriculum development. And all of these nonprofits and these organizations do so many wonderful things, and oftentimes of no charge to our students.
Wow.
And then even some corporate partners who are helping students get certifications, helping get on-the-job training, internships. And so when we have less funding as a district, it's critical that we rely on these partners.
Right.
The last community partner that's essential is our parents.
Right.
Making sure that we're communicating with our parents effectively, bringing them into decision-making and discussion, and just having that greater sense of community on the school board.
Right. And Akron parents, I mean, if you were to have a message out there to them, what would it be? That they're just as important, right?
Right. Well, there's a concept in education called the whole child approach to education. So it's more of a holistic view that basically describing how the cliche phrase about it's a village that it takes to raise a child.
Yeah.
It's the same way that we need strong teachers, we need strong administrators, we need strong after-school programs, positive adult role models, and strong parents to really get a child from their first day in preschool all the way to graduation and then
Right.
becoming a strong member of our society and our community.
Right.
And so it's essential that we have a strong partnership with our parents, teachers, our administrators to make that happen.
Right. So if people are looking around and wondering how they can get involved in the Public School Board of Akron, maybe even vote for you,
Yes.
how can they do that?
Yeah, so with my information, my website is friendsofnathanjarosz.com. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And also what's interesting about this race is that there are 4 seats up
Wow.
for election, which means each Akron voter gets 4 votes.
Wow.
And so this is essentially an opportunity for the city of Akron to choose their team. Who do they feel are the best representatives of this community, and who do they think can work well together? There was a forum not too long ago that the League of Women Voters put on, and they had some school board members address the public, and one school board member said that one of the greatest joys she has on that school board is that she has such a great opportunity to collaborate with her fellow board members. And I know there's been a lot of challenges with the current Akron Public School Board, and what we need are those servant leaders who, even when we disagree on an issue, we don't make it personal, where it's not about attacking the person, it's about focusing on the issue. And I think we need someone who is able to collaborate with any of the other candidates. And I think that when we look at the 4 seats available, I truly hope that between now and Election Day, will earn the trust and support for a vote, at least one of those 4 votes from our fellow members in Akron.
Right, of course. And thank you everybody so much for tuning in today. Again, Nathan Jarosz with Akron Public Schools. He is running. Your votes matter. Please tune in and vote. Like he said, if you are being an active parent, an active superintendent, an active worker in the school, that is all that matters. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today to watch the show. We'll be right back after this.